The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Newy Scruggs.
Media Mash, let's ride with insiders talking Cowboys today. John Machota of The Athletic, Nick Eatman, the originator and ungrader from DallasCowboys.com, and the longest tenured beat writer consecutively. Going back to the Chan Gailey days, right? Switzer.
Man.
Switzer. Clarence Hill, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram.
Switzer. How you doing, man? How you guys doing? Nick, happy to see you again, buddy.
Thank you. I saw you just last week.
I know.
Arizona.
We had a good time.
Clarence was working, man.
Hey,
he was working in Arizona.
Is he the longest beat writer?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, that's okay.
Who we talking about?
Nothing. Anyways, no, Clarence at the owners meeting. I mean, he was working. He was working hard over there. I mean, it's a challenge. You got to keep up with the Joneses. Literally, that's what it is.
Well, and I try to tell people, they have these owners meetings at these different locations in West Palm Beach, some years, and some years it's in Phoenix, and these great locations, great vacation locations. We're at this swank hotel, $1,000 a night or whatever it is, and you think, oh, you're gonna be at the. Where were we at? The
Biltmore.
The Biltmore, Arizona Biltmore.
I've been there. It's nice.
It is nice. We don't get to enjoy it. We have a media room. We get to stay in the hallways, and it's you don't really get to enjoy the sunshine, whether it's in Florida or Arizona, because you're in a hotel trying to get glimpses of quotes, outside a lobby when people come in and out from the meeting rooms. You get one night. We get one nice little. They do a big party that we all get to go and eat and drink. But you're there working. You're networking. You're waiting for Stephen Jones. Monday, they start press conferences at 7 a.m. and I was there at 7 a.m. After hanging out.
I just meant that you did a good job. You worked hard. I mean, I think we're good. You just worked hard. You
worked
hard.
I know,
you don't need an itinerary.
I just want to let you know it's a long day.
It's a grind, people.
It was a long day.
This is
7 a.m.
I would just give you a compliment.
7 a.m. to midnight. 7 a.m. to midnight.
Who else could do this?
7 a.m. to midnight.
He did good. He outworked me for sure. He definitely did.
7 a.m. to midnight.
Proud of you, dog. Now, did you get to stay
just a splash
at that hotel?
No, I was at the 4 Point Sheraton.
I stayed there one night. One time when the Cowboys were coaching the Pro Bowl. Yeah. I think it was 2014, and I stayed at the Biltmore, and there was a cleaning person that was like, hey, there's a couple players right here, but it's like the kickers and the punters, so it's not going to get too rowdy. It was the loudest I've ever slept next to anybody, like any hotel room. It was just like music going. It was Pat McAfee from the Colts. Like he made the Pro Bowl and was just throwing parties there. So yeah. Like when I was like, this guy's gonna,
So
what is he gonna do when he's done?
You stayed there during the Pro Bowl?
Yeah. I know. It was crazy. That was the year that they coached the Pro Bowl.
Right. Well, they've coached it several years because how many times they've lost as the top seed, and I did it with Wade, and we did it with Jason.
Yeah, the coach of your Pro Bowls is not like something to go on the resume.
I was starting to peruse some mock drafts. I haven't heavily followed it, but I saw Bijan Robinson, according to NFL.com and Bleacher Report. Then I saw the tight end for Notre Dame, Michael Mayer, on PFF. And then the other tight end, Kincaid, saw him on another draft board there. And just me, now we get to go around the room, start with you, John. I don't think people understand that because Dalton Schultz left, the Cowboys aren't going to just say, oh, we must fill the first-round pick with a tight end. I think the last tight end they took in the first round is David LaFleur back when Aikman was around here.
Yeah, that, and then also that Mike McCarthy, during his 13 years with the Packers, they never took one even in the second round. It was Jermichael Finley, Richard Rodgers in the third. I think those are the only two times they even took somebody in the third. And then everybody tells you that knows this draft, that studies this draft all year round, that the best class is the tight ends. So if that's the case, then why do you necessarily have to go for one in the first round. I mean, I guess if there's a guy that you think, everybody's scouting staffs are different. If you think this one guy, like Michael Mayer, is clearly better than everybody else, then yeah, maybe you do that then. But I don't think they're taking a tight end at 26. I just think that a lot of these mock drafts, a lot of these people are going to position, oh, hey, Cowboys just lost Dalton Schultz. This fits into there, And so I don't know. I just think that there's going to be a better value. That's the thing. Like, I just think guys will slip. I don't think Bijan Robinson will, but obviously if he was there, that seems like a no-brainer to me. The guy that I'm interested in is Nolan Smith, the DN from Georgia, who he's a little bit smaller size-wise, but he tore it up at the combine, and I would just think he'd be a great piece to add to Dan Quinn's defense if he was to fall. I mean, obviously D-end isn't the biggest need, but if a player like that falls to you, how can you pass on him?
Nick, the whole tight end speculation?
No, I'm not good on the tight end there in the first round. I don't think if they really wanted that, if they really felt that it was a huge need, they would have signed Dalton Schultz when his stock was falling like it did or whatever. I mean, I think they would have brought him back. So I think you add a tight end. I don't think you have to get one in the first round, but just see how it falls. I mean, if they have a guy if they think is a Kelsey type guy that he's fallen. Sure. I mean, I think you're fine with it, but I wouldn't go into it thinking we got to get a tight end. I mean,
one of the things I gleaned from the owners' meetings on those nights is that at the end of the day, they didn't think Dr. Schultz was elite. Yeah. Which is why, they did offer him the $12 million year contract a year ago. He didn't take it. He thought we'd get more. They were ready to, this year, they weren't really going to put that type of money back up for him. And he thought, initially was going to get more on the market anyway, but they did not think he was that elite player. So the reason I say that if there's an elite tight end there that they believe, I think they would take it because it's the best player at the position. And that's why a lot of people are mocking tight ends because some of those tight ends are ranked very high. They're considered, special tight ends. And if one falls, then it's something to be considered. They're not going to force a tight end. I think that's we've talked all along about what they've done in free agency, how they don't have to force a position. They can be pure to this draft. But if the best player is a tight end, I think they would consider taking one. They're not going to force it. It's not a need position, but if the best player is one of those special tight ends are there, and people think Meyer, those guys are pretty good and who can do everything.
Yeah. But once you get past the first or second round, and then they'll say you don't address it till third or fourth, to me that suggests we are okay with Ferguson starting.
They are.
And I think they should be.
They are. Yeah. But if one of those special guys are there, they're not going to bypass him. But again, my problem with those. And I know you brought up the mock drafts. It's a freaking guessing game, especially when you're 26. No one knows. You're only, everybody's guessing. You don't know where Bijan is going to go. You don't know where some of these guys are going to go. You got to, we're all at the liberty. I got to do a mock draft too, and I just hate this whole mock draft thing because everybody goes crazy about it. Because when you're that low in the draft, you can't control who's there. You don't know who's going to be available. Then you got to decide if a tight end and a defensive end have the same grade on your book, what do? Then you go with knee, right?
I don't know. I think I would go DM because I think you got to factor in which position is more valuable. I mean, that's the other thing that hurts with the draft, at least recently, is there's been so many first-round pick tight ends that haven't hit. And I think that factors in a little bit too, where you're like, hey, yeah, this guy right here that you might get at 26. This guy right here, you get in the second round, at the back end of the sixth round, at 58, might just be just as good as that guy is. Why are we spending that premium pick there?
Exactly, and that is my problem with the whole thing is that the bust-rated tight end is higher than it is a running back. But this whole referendum against running backs, you can't take a running back because they don't have value. You say the same thing about tight end. You can say the same thing about safety. Why would you take a safety at the top of the draft? Or off-the-ball linebacker. Of course, Mike is not an off-the-ball linebacker, but, look at the off.
It's funny you say that about the running back thing because when I think of that, I think the only one that is up for debate is Bijan Robinson.
Right.
And I just think it's funny that if there's any Cowboys fans out there that say that, it's like, be careful with what you wish for because, man, he certainly makes a lot of sense for the Eagles at 10. And all of a sudden he's in your division, and now you got to deal with him twice a year.
So if he helps the Eagles win 2 Super Bowls next 3 years, but he doesn't play 10 years, that's a horrible pick.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Yeah. When you said we don't know where he's going to go, I was like, I do. He's going to Philly.
Yeah,
he's going to Philly.
That would be a night. Him with Jalen Hurts, and that would be crazy because I just talking to people in Philly. The running back there, I can't even think his name. Went to Carolina.
Sanders.
Yeah, they think, Sanders, a lot of his stuff was based on the quarterback. They don't think he was that special, which is why they let him go in free agency. He didn't get a lot of money to get the money he thought he was going to get in free agency, but they let Sanders go.
I think about Jamal Lewis with the Ravens. Ozzie used a first-round pick on him. He didn't have a long career, but
he got hurt, though, but yes.
Yeah, they won a championship with him. He had a 2,000-yard season, but they got what they needed out of him. And I go back to what you say, Clarence. Who cares if he's, people talk about like 10-year player. I think people really forget that it's NFL careers are short. Mm-hmm. And for running backs, it's shorter because you only have so many hits in your body. But if you give somebody 5 good years on a first contract, then they're gone?
Six with the franchise tag.
Okay. Does it matter?
And if that's the case, because obviously with the Cowboys, people will talk about Zeke. It's the contract that Zeke got off of it. If you just tell me that you're going to get those first 5 or 6 years of Zeke, who's not taking it? Especially with the way that team was built. It's not like he was I'm trying to think of some of the first rounders that really, like Leonard Fournette. What did he really give to Jacksonville? Like something like that. Yeah, there's a couple others, though. I'm talking about like the elite back that goes like top 10, where you're like, oh, this is going to be our bell cow for the next 10 years.
Yeah, the thing about it which makes it difficult is the 5 year. You say 5 years or 6 with a franchise tag, but it never goes like that, because if the guy's really good, let's say it's Zeke-like after 3 years, really good, has a couple rushing titles, they don't just sit there. It's so awkward. You don't just sit there and go, well, sorry, 2 more years, and then we're done. And then he's looking for more money, and then media starts talking, and then it's like, well, I want the Cowboys pay this guy, and then it's not as smooth as it sounds of just paying for 5 years because if he performs well.
Yes, but they put a clause in there. They've changed the rules. You can't hold out.
Right.
So you can't. I mean, what I'm saying, you can't do what Zeke did anymore. So they're kind of limited.
Correct.
And to me, it's that's why to me it sucks, because generally, when you, especially for running backs, they're at their prime their first 5 years of their career. But when they get a chance to get paid, they're on the next contract. So you're really paying them for what they did before and not what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But you got them the first 5 years on the cheap.
Like, when did Zeke really fall off? Like 5 years?
Yeah.
He's played 7 years. I mean, he's had a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, but they got him on the cheap for the first 3 years.
Sure.
For what he meant to this franchise and what he did in the rushing title, they got him on the cheap. But no one says that. That was just the deal.
Trent Richardson was the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah,
third
Trent
overall pick.
Richardson,
where you're not getting anything close to that. Like Zeke, he gave you 2 rushing titles. I mean, and again, the key thing about all this too is look at the way that Cowboys team was built. It made a lot of sense then for that team to go in that direction.
Yeah, running team.
No. Yeah, is that so? It's so the draft is this whole who they mocking to the Cowboys. I've seen offensive linemen, I've seen defensive ends, I've seen the defensive tackles, certainly I've seen the tight ends, I've seen cornerbacks, I've seen running back.
Okay.
It's wide open for the Cowboys. That's how it should be, because they've done a good job in free agency where they can take the best player.
If they were at 10, would you be fine with them taking Bijan Robinson?
At 10.
Yeah.
I would be fine, but Steven said that you can't. We talked to him at the combine.
Right.
You can't take them that high because of the value. That's what they believe.
Yeah.
Because of the value of the back. He's learned. I guess he learned. Even though they like what they did with Zeke.
He said that though. This is my second. I absolutely hate that Monday press conference before the draft. It's my least favorite press conference because that year in 2016, he even said we don't value the running back that high, and then they take Zeke at the 4th pick. So it's that.
Liar's poker.
It's just, it's not a good one because what are they going to say? Of course they're going to say that kind of stuff.
Sometimes they'll just sit on the bus and tell you that they want to keep.
No, but I
just
think that I agree with what you're saying, but I think they do have the experience of Zeke and experience of the contracts and all the other stuff at this point.
I'd take him at 10.
Yeah, I would too.
I'd take him at 10.
Sitting here just looking at, pulled up a little web story on tight ends going in the first round. You had Kyle Pitts in 2021 going to Atlanta at 4.
I'd still be all on board with Kyle Pitts. I think he's in a bad situation.
I
do think he's special, though.
Noah Fant, Broncos,
20th
overall in the first round, 2019. T.J. Hawkinson goes pick 8 to Detroit in 2019. He's no longer with the Lions. He's with Minnesota. Hayden Hurst. The interesting thing about him going at 25 to the Ravens in 2018 is he was drafted in the first round before they took Lamar Jackson. in Baltimore. He's no longer in Baltimore. He's in Cincinnati, and now he's someplace else.
None of those guys you just mentioned have performed like what you'd expect out of a first-round pick.
Hurst was really good at South Carolina, too.
Yeah.
David Njoku coming out of Miami. He was a 29th overall pick to Cleveland, now on his second deal. Evan Ingram.
He got paid. He got paid last year.
He's the reason Schultz is in here.
Exactly. Yeah,
Schultz wanted to get that Njoku money.
Hey, give us that. They were like, all the owners look at whatever the Browns put out, don't bring it to us.
Agent of the year, right there.
Okay, but you put this list together. I think Hurst is a good player. I think Hawkins is a good player. He went to Minnesota, wanted him.
But a top 10 pick? Good.
Well, top 10 maybe. Hurst wasn't. The only person that was top 10 was Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Everybody else is
Hawkinson.
Because
everybody else 20
they're
or
all
later.
trying to draft these two guys that are out there, which I don't know where they were drafted.
They weren't. Well,
what round are we talking about?
Kittle wasn't drafted
Kelsey.
that high. Kittle was like a third or fourth round pick.
Kittle
The Cowboys passed on Kittle.
Yeah.
Kittle was a 5. And so
Everybody passed on
I'm just
Cowboys.
naming first round
So
tight
did
ends,
Diggs.
just to kind of go through it. So 2017, you had the Giants taking Evan Ingram at 23. I think he's on team 3 now. O.J. Howard coming out of Alabama, that national
that's a big
championship
swing
game.
and
Tampa took him 19. He's been bouncing around. Boy, one of the worst picks ever. At 10, the Lions took Eric Ebron, passed on Odell, Zach Martin, and
Aaron Donald.
some dude named Aaron Donald.
Yep.
Tyler Eifert, coming out of Notre Dame, was 21 to the Bengals. And then Jermaine Gresham, the Bengals took him at 21 in 2010. So there's a lot of
I don't want to
dudes.
take a tight end in the first round. I think you can just put that on there.
Yeah.
Don't
So
want to do that.
just looking at this, you can say tight end
It's
first
hard.
round.
That's a tough one. That's a tough because you see these guys and what they did in college, and most of those guys I would imagine are kind of like big receivers in college, especially Pitts. And then you just get here, and it's tough. It's tough to do all that. The game is different, so it doesn't translate the same.
Let's hit a break here. So we've got a little draft talk there. Let's dive into Terrence Steele and what we heard at the owners' meetings about Terrence Steele and his position. Could he be playing some guard, tackle? Where does he go? We'll do that with Clarence Hill, Nick Eatman, John Machota. I'm New East Coast Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite and 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf. For winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash from the Star. All right, the draft is this month, so there's a whole lot of things going on with the draft and a whole lot of just coming out the owners' meetings about where the Cowboys are at here. Let's dive into it. John Machota, got Nick Eatman and Clarence Hill here. I'm Newy Scruggs. So, Nick, I'll start with you. Okay. Mike McCarthy, met with the media and Terrence Steele, who started at right tackle last year. They let La'el Collins go to Cincinnati. Steele gets hurt, and now we're talking about Steele playing some guard, and Jerry's like, Tyron is starting. So what do we make of all this in March, April?
It was funny. We asked those guys, Mike and then Steven and Jerry, not in that order, but those three of them in a span of about 24 hours, and they all had different answers. I mean, not completely different, but just different answers to that question. Personally, I don't think he's going to play guard. I don't. But I thought the interesting thing that McCarthy said was it's almost like we're tired of hoping that our offensive line can have some continuity. We're just going to plan that it's not going to be the case because it hasn't been the case since he's been here. So it's like, let's cross-train everyone. Let's play him at guard some. Any center's going to have to play guard or vice versa and all that. We're just going to go into this knowing that this is going to happen. But at the end of the day, I don't believe Terrence Steele is really going to be playing left guard. I think he ends up playing tackle. If they say best five, I think Terrence Steele will be in the best five. That's what I believe.
Jerry Jones does not think he's one of the best five at tackle or best two at tackle, which is, and the idea that, and I'm not disagreeing with you what you're saying, because at the end of the day, Tyron's injury history is probably going to make that the case anyway.
Right.
But going into it, the fact that we're talking about cross-training Steele at left guard or even giving him guard reps tells you he's not the main guy at tackle. Because if he's the main guy at tackle, if he's the guy you think is going to be your starting right tackle, you're not giving him guard reps. You're not giving your starting right tackle.
Which is interesting.
I'm going to let you. Yeah,
no,
I was going to say.
I have a rebuttal to that.
But I'm just saying that you're not. I mean, if he's your starting tackle, then why are you giving him guard? If he's going to be your starting tackle, why are you giving him guard reps? I mean, the tackles are the most important players out there.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Mike McCarthy said multiple times last year that he thinks Terrence Steele is going to be here for a long time, to the point where, I remember it being a little surprised by it because I'm still looking at him as, this is this undrafted guy. Is he really? I think they're more of, hey, if we're going in the season today, we got to cross-train him there because right now, what do we have at left guard? Chuma Udoga? Did I say that right?
I think so.
Yeah. So I think they want to try and cover themselves. But I would be very surprised if they get to this draft and they don't draft a guard.
I think also, out of respect, they talked about that with Zeke. That's why they didn't give him a deal. It was a low ball and all that. Respect is a big deal, and it's going to be a big deal for Tyron Smith. Out of respect, you say, all right, here's your contract, and just detailed. I mean, every game he plays is almost $1 million. You can make $6 million or you can make 17. But this is how you do all that. And by the way, you're a backup. No, I mean, they're not going to do that to him. They're going to say, all right, this is the deal. You've been here a long time, future Hall of Famer, and this is how you make this money. We'll see.
But they don't have to say anything at all.
I know,
what I'm saying.
but they're saying right now that he's left tackle, but you have to say that because you just gave him the contract. But, I mean, if it's best five, I don't think he will be.
So let me ask this, just based on what you're talking about with Tyron's money. Terrence Steele is coming up, and they'd like to negotiate with him. So, you pay guards a lot less than you pay tackles.
Yeah,
is any of that?
No.
Could any of that be?
I don't think.
Yes.
See, there are people. I don't think they're trying to lowball. Oh, this is a year early. Let's try to cross train him in guard. So when he has to come up with tackle, we don't have to pay him. I don't see that. I don't think they're being that calculated as looking into next year and say we're going to cross train him in guard. So we're going to lower his tackle. I don't think he's going to get great tackle money. I mean, at this point, how much money you think he's going to get at tackle that you have to try to lowball him a year early?
I don't think he would be a good guard, not that
either.
good. He's too tall.
He is too tall. But I guess getting back to the Tyron Smith, my conversations with people in the front office and not Jerry Jones is that they think Tyron Smith is a better pass blocker
than Terrence
Steele.
Yeah, which is all what.
And that
he's
might
been
be great
saying.
for the first series of the season.
I thought we were going to run the ball. I thought we were running the football. I thought that was the thing. We're going to run it.
And they think he can be. They think if he's practiced, he can be as good a run block. I'm just saying what I was told.
Here's what I don't understand, and I'm definitely in the minority in this. Terrence, I mean, if it's best five, then why have a really good tackle? Let's say Tyron's healthy. Why have a good tackle as your swing tackle, and you're trying to figure out what's going on at left guard when Tyler Smith can play left guard? I mean, he's going to be here 10 years. Okay, fine. So what if the first two aren't fully at left tackle? He can do it. I mean, so if that's your best five, why not slide him in there?
And I do think there's a good chance that ends up happening if they weren't to draft somebody high enough.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. Here's a quote though this was the one when it first raised my eyes when he said it. This is at training camp last August 15th. Mike McCarthy goes, you just got to be so impressed with Terrence. 2 years in a row, he's had a tremendous offseason. I think Terrence is someone that has a chance to be an anchor over at right tackle for us for a long time. And this is before the season started. There's nothing that happened during the last season that would go, yeah, I bet you they're changing their tone now.
No.
Like, there's nothing that he did. So I find that hard to believe that the coaching staff doesn't think. Now, they're obviously new offensive line coach now, and so he's going to have his own say in it. But I find it hard to believe that Terrence Steele isn't going to be your starting right tackle.
I went back and we were talking about the Players Lounge in our text chat, and I said, guys, I'm really not going to stress over what's being talked about in March because we're talking about a 17-game schedule. Mm-hmm. People are going to get hurt. And then one of the players here, Tyron Smith, we know is not going to play 17 because it's just the bottom line facts. We've got half a decade right now to prove it. So they can tell us all this stuff here, but the reality is we know if this is the lineup they want to put out here, it ain't going to be 17 games with that lineup.
Yeah. And because you know that, it makes sense to have three guys that are all offensive tackles. I mean, you also got to develop somebody else behind them for when Tyron goes down.
I'm totally fine with that unless Terrence Steele's offseason of maybe playing guard changes his body type, or he's trying to do that. I always think about Tyrone Crawford, honestly. I know I've said this on here maybe before, but other show of just Crawford never knew what he was going to do going into the offseason. Tackle in, losing weight, gaining weight, and all that. And he was, because, these position flex guys are good to have, but it also kind of stunts them from maybe taking it to another level.
Steele's coming off an injury.
Yeah.
So we have to also see that.
He's looked good. I mean, I've seen some of him on IG, on Big Duke's IG. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Coming off this injury. And I mean, and it's different between an offensive lineman and a wide receiver, the cutting and all this stuff. I think he'll be ready to go.
What about center Tyler Biadasz?
I mean, he's coming off of making a Pro Bowl. I don't think that they would be trying to go in another direction there. I think what it comes down to, and just reading about, because I'm not going to sit here and act like I just study all of these draft prospects, but there is a lot of guard/center with a lot of these prospects, guys you can get second, third round, things like that. I think that's what they would like to get, is draft somebody maybe second, third, fourth round that they feel like can be a guard, can be your backup center if needed, and then go from there. But I don't know. I think Tyler Biadasz will be the center here for a while. I think he'll get a second contract.
My conversations, they like him. They're not concerned about the center position.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get another Connor McGovern type of guy and hope that he doesn't get hurt his first year and all that, which I think really kind of hurt him there. But that type of guy, second, third round.
Steve Avila of TCU.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Could be a first round guy.
Yeah, I think he's a.
No, I'm just but there's a position flex guy with guys play guard and can play center.
Love it. I mean, at 26. So the pro shop may not love it to sell the jersey or whatever, but man, you get me another Tyler Smith at 26, or but in this case probably more center guard than guard tackle. But I think that would be great. I think that if that guy comes in, the big guy from Florida, right? He's 330 strong. I'd be fine with that.
When we come back, we talked about a lot of offense. Let's flip to the defensive side here as we get ready for the draft, and an area that I'm still harping on that I want to see addressed. Hopefully day one, if not, definitely day two. With Clarence Hill, Nick Eatman, John Machota, New East Coach. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invent Invest your nest egg in an NFT.
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's on something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to Media Mash.
Here we are, Media Mash, talking about the Cowboys draft is coming up here. They've done some good free agency work, so that next thing to tackle is the draft, where the Cowboys, under Will McClay, have done an outstanding job of drafting players and getting Pro Bowl talent out of them. So we've got John Machota at The Athletic, Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, and Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. I'm Newey Scruggs. D-line is still an area I just really, really want to see them address either the first night or day two. I'm a Cowboy historian, and I go back and I look at all 5 championships. They had outstanding play on the defensive line here. And they've got to find a way to stop the run because, in my opinion, when I look at how you beat the Cowboys the past couple of years, it's been teams have been able to run the ball on them, especially in the playoffs. So, D-line, first round, thoughts?
Love it. I just think with a lot of Cowboys fans, a lot of people that follow the Cowboys, there's probably a little bit of a bad taste because the last time that they spent a significant pick on the defensive tackle spot, it's been, it was Tristan Hill. It didn't work out, obviously. But I don't think that should get you to stop doing that. I think that that's one of the – if you list their starting lineup right now, I think D-tackle is the one spot where you're like, man, they could certainly use another young guy to put next to Osa that you have here for – Neville Gallimore, this is probably his last year with the Cowboys. Jonathan Hankins, it's a 1-year deal. So what do you have left then? You have Osa, you have Quentin Bohanna. You could definitely use some more beef in the middle. Stop. You can also use some more beef in the middle there. That would make a ton of sense if the right guy's there, that Brian Bresee from Clemson. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Clarence said when we started the show. What they've done is, in free agency, they've put Band-Aids on most of the positions, and that'll be fine going into the draft. And I think that, going into the first couple rounds of the draft, if you don't touch this position, you're fine. That's what free agency is supposed to be, and I think that they've done that. But, yeah, defensive tackle, if a guy falls to you there or just something that you just feel like you have to have, yeah. The good thing about picking at 26 is it's going to come down to, is this guy ready to play right now? Does he come in and just play? And so if it's a tight end, sure. If it's a corner, whatever it is, that's why I don't see it being a receiver, because I just don't think the receiver would come right in at 26 and be a difference maker. But I do think a defensive tackle would.
It would be wild, too, because that Jalen Carter from Georgia, a lot of people talking about off the field and things like that. If he was to fall all the way to the Cowboys, how do you pass on that talent? And because I really do believe that if you really want a real game record at D-tackle, you probably got to get him in the top 10. Not many of them really fall that far.
And we know Jerry loves a rehabilitation project.
Right.
Especially at a good value.
As they're talking about it on TV right now.
Good value.
Did Vince Wilfork, which I never say his name right, Wilfork.
That sounds right.
Did he fall? I know he was like 21, 24, something like that. Did he fall to there, or is he just that's kind of what he was?
He was a nose tackle. He was big, and it was.
Well, you don't really draft nose tackle. You don't have any pass rush presence, but he was just a special player.
He was special.
And getting back to defense, I think that for this to truly be a great defense, you need a house in the middle. I've said that. I'm old school. You cannot be a special defense without somebody special in the middle of that defense. Pass rusher, somebody that's going to be a horse in the middle, and the Cowboys don't have that. I don't know if you can get that at 26, but they do need to upgrade that defense tackle position.
So Drew Rosenhaus says he's not going to let his guy Carter go visit anybody who's not in the top 10. Any issues with that?
No,
that's just I don't know.
It's tough.
So what is
agent
that?
Agent play.
Yeah, that's agent play, because then it's like, okay, well.
What if a team wants to trade up for him?
Yeah.
You're not going to let him go meet with him?
Right. You was sitting there at 14 or something like that, and you're like, well, if he falls
sitting
to 9,
sitting there at 20, if you really want a game, like Clarence said, this isn't a Cowboys thing. Like, it's an NFL thing. You need good defensive tackle play. There could be a team at 22 that's like, this is the missing piece from our defense. We're going to trade up for them.
I don't need to meet with you.
Right. Well,
I mean,
you kind of would like to if you're going to trade up too. You know, you would kind of like to spend some time.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think that they've met with enough people. You know, they kind of everybody knows what's going on. You know.
Yeah, people know what's going on, and I think that I mean, just like we talk, the Cowboys weren't going to draft guys they visit with. Then all of a sudden, there's some people that they draft. You know, who's on the board. I'm going to take him because I know he's special talent.
Was it Mo Claiborne?
Yeah.
Was it Mo Claiborne? Yeah. Which, okay, I mean, it didn't work out, but like they traded for him. I don't think they'd ever talked to him.
Yeah, I mean, because they saw special talent there, and I think the same thing will be the case with Carter.
I mean, do you think there was a ton of going in and really digging in with Micah Parsons?
No.
Remember that story?
No.
On the draft day that like. It was a big deal. Like after they drafted that, like I want to say it was like Mike McCarthy never even was on like a call or anything with him or something like that. I know that it got blown into this big like it was beyond just Dallas story about how.
Yeah,
they had no idea. They had no idea Michael Parsons would be available.
My biggest thing is when people talk about the Cowboys draft is at least. You know, before the last 3 years since Mike McCarthy has gotten here, you had a little bit of an idea. These last 3 years in the first round, as we said here today, you had no idea that they were going to draft the guys that they did. You didn't CD, Micah Parsons, Tyler Smith. 5 days before the draft, most people were like, "There's no chance that Tyler Smith would ever." I mean, heck, an hour before the draft, most people said, "No, Tyler Smith."
The day of the draft, I remember someone telling me about Tyler Smith, and I did that. That was my mock pick, but that's only because the day of it, I was just like. Who?
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah.
It totally worked out here. And I just have this feeling that all the
I'm gonna real quick before you say that it worked out because of what we were talking about free agency. It allows you to do that. It allows you, like they covered themselves with the defensive end just enough that year of 2020. Was it Chase on that they kind of wanted to take?
Yeah.
But CeeDee Lamb, like you got to take CeeDee Lamb.
That guy.
Right, but I'm just saying.
Done nothing.
I'm saying they've covered themselves to the point where when that guy falls to them, that they can do it. So we don't know. It could be a position we're not even talking about. And it's like
kicker.
Let me
could
throw
be corner.
Let me just throw this out. So Rosenhaus is the agent. He's done enough business with the Cowboys through the years. We think if they didn't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, at least put him on a Zoom with us. At least we got some questions here," that he'd take that phone
Absolutely.
call. And I mean. To put a player, especially a D lineman, on the Cowboys with all the games that they're going to be on TV, Rosenhaus would do that.
Yeah.
That's just me. At the end of the day, what smart agent wouldn't want to push a player to the Cowboys where you know they're going to be on TV? And oh, by the way, if they're really good, Jerry's right.
But he's not pushing them down to 26. He's not pushing. No, so the Cowboys are 26.
No, and in my mind, it is the Cowboys calling him. Hey, we might. We've done it before. We'd like to have a conversation if something can get into play.
Yeah, I don't see him trading up.
I don't see that happening either.
You never know, man. Never know.
Just
how
based off
old is Jerry now? 80, 81?
Wow. I'm just saying, what do they got to do with it?
Because you start, as you get older, it's like talking to the Rangers owner. Why he spent all that money? He's like, hey, man, I ain't getting no younger.
Yeah, but
trying to get it
Jerry,
done.
but that's been Jerry's mantra for the last 5 years.
This could be the year.
I don't have time to have a bad time. I mean, this ain't, that's been, how long was that? That's been his mantra. He's been desperate, got rid of Jason, his whole, I have time to have a bad time.
You pushed him.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason... The reason why he's not going number 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, that would be really risky to lose 2 first-round picks for, or however much more you have to do to get up there.
The questions about his character or work ethic or whatever
I think if it falls to you and you're like, all right, let's do it. It's like Des Bryant, and I'm just saying Des was falling for different reasons too, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't think they would be moving up like with Des. It's not. You're not moving up from.
They moved a couple spots.
Yeah.
Like,
I could see them doing it for a player. I do not see them going from
not too high.
Yeah, going into the top.
If he gets
10
to
or top 15.
18, 19,
right?
But if Carter starts to fall, and it's reports, legitimate. But if their team's saying, "Hey, man, he's not on our board," and next thing you know, a guy starts tumbling down here. I'm not saying it's going to be a Randy Moss type tumble, but if this guy, next thing you know, could be sitting here at 13 or 14,
I think you'd have to make it to the back end of the teens.
He's not going to pass Philly. Philly's going to be like, we'll take him.
Yeah.
We never know.
They're taking him. They're taking Bijan. Philly's taking everybody.
Yeah, Philly's going to take them all. They're going to get a
trade
player.
for Aaron Rodgers. They're going to surprise us all. They're going to surprise everybody. Everything.
They are in the catbird seat though. For the team they have and the picks they have. I mean, it's just the best of the situation.
Yeah,
how comfortable are we with the running back coach now, Blasco? Anybody ask McCarthy about that?
Mm-mm.
Does anybody care about the new running back coach who's never been a running back coach in the league? Does it matter?
I think it matters in the running back room. I don't know that obviously running back is a position that you wake out of bed, you can play. I mean, I think everybody understands that's why rookies can play.
Either you can or you can't.
Yeah, you have it. I don't know if but I think there's some chemistry things that you need to have in the room. I think the great thing that Skip did last year was to get Zeke and Pollard and be able to get them to share a load and split that, manage those egos in their running back room. The good news is there's not any egos in this running back room. Tony doesn't have an ego. Based on his past, and whoever you bring in to go with him won't have an ego. It's not like Zeke is there. Or some big time back is there that you have to manage. So I think that helps you have a guy like for Blasco be the running backs coach because there's not anybody that you have to have reverence to.
And you had two, for the past two running back coaches we've seen here, between Skip Pete and the late Gary Brown, those are really two good guys who connected with the room. And now you're bringing in someone who's not done it.
They played in the league, and Skip before Gary. So those
it's been there,
two guys for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think even before Skip. I mean, maybe like Clarence Shellman way back in the day, right? But I feel like most of the times it's been somebody that's played in the league. So, but you can make that case with a lot of positions too. I mean, I don't know if Joe Philbin actually blocked a lot of people in the offensive line, in his life, but he was a pretty good coach there too. So,
but he had track record.
Jerry played and on the offensive line.
He did play guard. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. But just
I don't think it's a national. It's an issue of playing position. It's an issue of coaching the position, experience with the position.
Yeah, they like this guy. I mean, they like him. They think he's smart. He was an assistant offensive line coach. Talking about Blasco, right?
Yeah, it's McCarthy's boy. I mean, he brought him in from Green Bay. I mean, they like him, but McCarthy likes him. I mean, that's his boy. I mean, that's a family thing.
It always has been.
And he's taking care of his family.
That's always. I mean,
like McCurley, the linebacker,
like John Garrett when Jason Garrett. I mean, literally family. It happens.
It's a family thing, and that's part of the NFL, and we'll see how this works. But I guess my point is, it will work with this room because there's no big ego, no big name. I mean, we love Tony, but I mean, Tony's not an ego in this room.
I just found that something we hadn't really chatted.
I don't think it would
about.
work the same way if Zeke was still here.
And I think that I do wonder, was that a part of it as well? I do, because we have seen that happen before.
If he comes back.
Yeah. What about that, Clarence?
We're not doing this, are we?
I just pulled up. Pulled up today, and space is still on.
Did they give us
posters outside?
Did they give his number away?
He did. Gilmore's got his number.
Did they give his number away?
He
already said he wants 15.
He does want 15. Yes, and could you?
Last time I checked, he's still a free agent. I don't know what you're sighing for over there.
But then again, Will Greer has 15, and
he got to buy all those jerseys, those 21 jerseys up.
Do you have to do that if you're cut from
No.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to do that.
Yeah.
No.
So
Micah, I'm pretty sure looked into it, and it was zero, and it was millions.
Millions
with an S.
Right.
It was a bunch of millions.
It's not worth
he was like, no, 11's good.
11 works.
Yeah. Curse was like,
J-Rod, take it.
Curse didn't have to buy any.
Yeah,
I've never seen a Curse jersey.
Yeah, but getting back to the Zeke thing, I know we were joking, but there is a portion of the fan base that think that there's a chance Zeke's coming back. And I think Jerry and them were being nice by saying the door is not shut, but the door is shut. I mean, they really expect him to sign with somewhere else, but the plan is not for him to come back.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't either. I was being sarcastic.
I know I said you were being, but there are portions of the fan base. I mean, that whole day. I mean, like, are these people nuts? Were they not listening?
Well,
yeah.
There's a lot of people that think that they have a new answer at defensive tackle too. So,
goodness gracious,
there's a lot that happens, gentlemen. I appreciate your insights today. John Machota, The Athletic, Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star Telegram, and Dewey Scruggs. We will do it again. Should we do it next Monday? Are you two available? What's up?
Do it on the air.
Yes, sir.
You're just gonna say it. commit to them right now on there.
That's right.
I'm in.
Yeah. You're in?
I'm in.
Nice.
You in?
Yes.
Dog?
Sure.
Okay. All right, Nick. See, there we go. See, that easy.
I mean, it's Easter Monday, don't we? Not in the holiday, Easter Monday? Then you should do Easter Monday.
You work in this business. You know the holidays.
Yeah, know about Easter Monday.
What about Thanksgiving Thursday? Is that thing? You off?
Goodbye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!